For this video, I've decided not to look up on any external sites any further information about this movie. I'm only going to go into it based on my own interpretations and what I thought about it. But today, I have decided to make a video on portals. Portals is an enigma to me, but I can give myself and the film a little bit of credit in that I've made a very substantial attempt to try to understand this film and the things therein besides. Portals feels anthological in nature, similar to films like VHS. If you enjoy films like that, the anthological types of films with various shorts spewed into it, with different directors, with different types of filmmaking tropes thrown throughout, with maybe an overarching topic that they would all try to keep the same throughout, then you might go into portals enjoying yourself. There are a lot of nods to other movies that you might be interested in hearing about. The nods or references, so as to say, are to films that might be a little bit better than this one. For example, at the very end of the movie, stay beyond the first sequence of credits because there is technically a post-credits scene that has a Fly remake reference. The Jeff Goldblum Fly. If you enjoyed the Fly remake by Cronenberg, then there is a sequence in this post-credit scene that you're gonna get right away. You're gonna know exactly what they're doing there. Aside from that, the film deals with these portals, these things right here. These portals give me the impression of the Reapers from Mass Effect. They have an indoctrination ability onto various weak-minded individuals. And the way it captures these people to get them to do what they want is to use their attachments to the world. And this is a little bit philosophical, East versus West type of thing here. You know, like, there's some theologies in the East that would say that you should forego your attachments to this world and its people and things and all that stuff. If you would forego your attachments, then they would have no power over you, right? Well, in Western society, we have plenty of attachments to people, to things, to our interests, to our hobbies, to the people we have lost, all that stuff. We have so many attachments, right? And these portals, they use your attachments to get you to do what they want, to manipulate you in certain ways, deep down into your psyche. It's like this science fiction-y type of thing, obviously, but it gets in there, right? It gets into your mind, plant suggestions and all this stuff, based on your affinity to these things that you are attached to. They use those things to manipulate you subtly and all that stuff until you are completely indoctrinated and under their control, so as you to do what it wants, right? And then there are other people who are unaffected by these portals in some of these shorts, and they are the ones who have to fend off the people who are enslaved to the portal, to their attachments and all that stuff, right? So, let's try to talk about some of these shorts. One of them is an office. There's a bunch of people at a call center, a 911 call center, that are dealing with an overwhelming blackout that's hitting the nation. And the people who are getting power, they're calling and they're wondering what's going on, right? And these call centers are overwhelmed, to say the least. So, they... How do I try to explain this? A portal just shows up in the middle of the office. There you go. So one of these little portal thingamajiggies, these things right here, it just shows up in the middle of the office. It's just sitting there right in the middle. It's a bad effect, but it just sits there. And it gets one of the office people completely ensnared into it. This office person whom it has been indoctrinating over a long period of time, since clearly the entities or artificial intelligence even behind this, and I will get into the artificial intelligence theory in a minute, but this presence within these portals have been spending a while preparing for this invasion, so to speak, and they have ensnared this person in this office to force the other people in the office to go into the portal. What do I mean by that? Well, if you touch the portal, you will be forcibly sucked into it. They open this film by talking about black holes. They open the film by talking about black holes and how the theory that they could be like a portal to another side of the universe or a portal to the other reality. So they have been theorizing through black hole technology to try to create teleportations, basically. Portals. Yeah. So, I don't know if this was a man-made effect. There's a lot of stuff that they leave open up in the air. That might be why there's a lot of low reviews for this, because there's so many questions that you're left with. It just raises so much, and there's nothing after this movie, as far as I know. I'm aware there is nothing left. So all the questions you have, you're going to continue to have. But I think I'm trying to find a different perspective to look at this. But I think all these questions that we're having are intentional. They want you to think about the movie. They want you to think about the portals. They want you to form your own conclusions. They want you to keep second-guessing yourself. They want you to think about this in real deep detail until you have satisfied yourself on what you think is going on. That's my theory, at any rate. And I think that these portals have an artificial intelligence inside of it. There is a presence, an entity that has been formed through the commingling of human consciousness that have been touching these things. They're basically getting absorbed into like this matrix-like reality. I am getting ahead of myself, and I know you're probably having a hard time keeping up with me. I have my little notepads here, and I have my little pen here. So let's get back to the office party, the 911 call center. I'm going to blueprint this out because this is very complex. This is going to be a long video right here, right? Okay, so we got your little office party here. You got some desks. We're going to say desk. Then the door right here. The door is electronic. It requires a code or whatever to open. When the blackout hits this office and the emergency lights turn on, a portal shows up in the middle of the office, right? But since the power's still out, there's only emergency lights, the electronic door won't open. So they have to radio in a SWAT team to come in and break them out. One of the office people here has been indoctrinated over a long period of time, and he came here knowing what was going to happen. He walks up to the portal and pulls out a gun on the other hapless office people in this 911 call center. Right, he's got a gun pointed on everybody here, right? And he says that the portal wants you to walk into it. It wants you to go into the portal, right? It just wants you to go in. The portal has him speaking to him. There's like some sort of consciousness or something that has been transmitted from this portal into his brain through like some sort of electronic signals or something, right? Radio waves. It doesn't matter. I can't explain it. So don't ask me to. This film is full of these types of questions. It's full of them. I'm just doing my best here. But something through this portal is trying to contact this guy and has been indoctrinating him into this plan over a long period of time. He comes here with a gun, and he points it at this guy right here first, and says he wants you to go into the portal. And if you do not go into the portal, he's just going to shoot you. That's basically what he's going to do. So we have this guy right here. He's just the unknown. He's the one that has no speaking lines. And so naturally, to test out that he's serious, to prove that he's serious, points the gun and shoots him. This guy dies. Everybody's freaking out. So he ends up walking through the portal and he vanishes. He's gone. The people that remain say, "You just killed him." And the guy says, "Now it's your turn to go into the portal." And she walks up to the portal, but she hesitates right before going in, right before touching it. And she hears a cry from her daughter. And this guy says, "Your daughter is inside the portal. Go in and you will be reunited." Ominous. So she decides to turn on the guy. Right, she's got some scissors that one of her coworkers had given her. She attacks him, but he survives, and he ends up shooting her, and now she's dead. So now he's on to her. But the portal is upset that he killed the blonde girl. The portal is upset, and then he ends up dying. Right, and then the SWAT team people come in, right? But first, some presence is now talking to this person. I know it's very messy. I know my drawing is very messy. I know it is. But try to bear with me. So the presence in the portal is now talking to this lady. And then we skip to the SWAT team members coming up the stairs. They're coming up the stairs. They're coming up, blah, 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 blah. They break the door down. And nobody's here. Nobody's here. They're going like, "Where'd everybody go?" And then they see the portal. And then the guy's eyes, the SWAT team man, his eyes start freaking out. And then you get the impression that the portal's now talking to him through some sort of mental suggestion or whatever, right? This is why I'm saying this feels very Reaper-y. If you've played the Mass Effect games, particularly by the second installment, you will learn about indoctrination. You will learn about the Reapers and their ability to indoctrinate people to do what they want for whatever their nefarious means, the purposes are, right? And a lot of people are subjugated to it throughout those games, and you get the impression that it is Shepard being indoctrinated, but we're not going on that joyride. But that's the type of impression I'm getting from these portals, is the indoctrination, the mind control, the big mass scale mind control indoctrination type of thing going on. And it's pretty whacked up. But as soon as the SWAT team sees this, we close that short. The short's gone. It's over. Now we're going to be going into another short. We skip ahead, right? We go backwards in time, I think, 3 weeks into the past. We're now in Indonesia, in some parking garage, because they couldn't afford to film anywhere else, right? They film in a parking garage. It's cheaper. Do what you can, right? I appreciate what they're doing here. They pick a lot of cheap sets in order to get good camera, in order to get decent special effects, in order to get good stuff like that. They had to make concessions in other places, and they decided to make concessions in their sets, in their locations. They didn't have many locations. Almost all of it is inside, so most of it's probably just done on set. You know, they just create a set and they film it there. That's fine. It doesn't bother me all that much. This entire next segment is filmed in a parking garage. So we got two sisters, one lady here and one lady here. Then there's a portal that shows up in the middle of the parking garage once all the lights go down, and it's starting to take control of this sister. And this sister's just fine. She just keeps hearing a baby in here, so let's have some context. This sister is pregnant. She's about to have a child. This sister had a child, but then she lost it, as well as her significant other. So she's all alone. She lost her family. She's about to start a new family. Polar opposites, right? So the portal has taken control over the sister, the younger sister. And the other sister is completely unaffected, but the unaffected sister does keep hearing a baby's cry coming from the portal. And it's like you get the idea that it's trying to lure her to the portal side, but she's not falling for it. She's strong-willed. So she tries to save her sister, but there's other people walking up to the portal now. A bunch of other people in this parking garage are walking up, and they're like zombies, you know. They have all been heavily indoctrinated by this portal, right? And the moment that these two start acting contrary to what the portal design says to do, which is go into it, clearly, they attack. They're like zombies. They attack them. And this is filmed by a different director, and you could tell that this is filmed completely differently from the office party segment. In the parking garage segment, it's filmed like a zombie apocalypse story, and it is probably my favorite segment in this entire film. Second favorite may be in regards to how intelligent it is. This isn't very intelligent at all. But it's the most entertaining. That's the way to say it. This is the most entertaining, but it is the least intelligent segment in the film, right? The most intelligent segment comes after this. The first segment's the weakest in the story, but it gets you on board to thinking. It wants you to think about the portal and what it's doing. It wants you to think about that, right? Well, in this segment, it's just here to say, alright, there's a lot of stuff going on here, so we're just gonna unwind here. We're just gonna let you enjoy yourself here. So the zombie stuff happens, and then she tries to get out. She eventually gets to her car. She gets her sister to her car, and they're trying to drive away, but then the sister gets indoctrinated again and makes her swerve the car into the portal, and then there's a bright light, and then the sister, the unindoctrinated sister, is alone, and she's wandering around trying to find an exit from this parking garage, and you get the feeling that she's in some sort of limbo. She's in some sort of hellish type of place, right? And then she sees her sister, right? And her sister is completely unharmed when prior to the crash. She was pretty banged up. They're both pretty banged up. She's still banged up, but the sister's completely fine. She's holding a baby. She's holding her baby, the baby that she lost. So now you know there's something going on. Is this like an afterlife thing, or maybe this thing is like this thing she went through the portal. So maybe she went through the portal, and now her consciousness has been assimilated into the portal, and it's using her memories to construct this reality for her, to keep her placated, so as to say, because she asks her sister if she's real, and the reply is, does it matter? And then she starts to accept it once she passes her baby to her, and then suddenly you see that she's no longer harmed. She's in perfect clothing, this one here, and the sister is now gone, and she's just standing there holding her baby, and she's starting to smile. The camera starts to pan out, and you get the feeling that she has accepted the false reality that she's in because it makes her happy. And there's some very intelligent stuff going on here at the very end here. At the very end, there's some really intelligent stuff going on, and you have to wonder about this a little bit. How am I going to formulate my thoughts with this one? In reality, we have a sort of way we want life to be for us, and when things don't go our way, when people we care about die, or when we're not rich when we want to be rich, or when we don't have the car that we want, or when we don't have the life that we want, we always dream. We dream about a better reality. We dream about the people that we've lost coming back into our lives as if they've never left. We dream about having that nice car. We dream about having that nice house. We dream about a better reality for us. But then we wake up and we realize that we are still where we've been prior to closing our eyes. Well, this reality that it constructs for this sister, and the one where her baby is alive, is simulated. It is fake. But it is desirable all the same, because she would prefer a reality where her child is alive to the one where she's not with her child. It's pretty smart in that regards, and I liked the way it was going there. Now we move on to another segment, and this was a series of sandwich shorts. What I mean by sandwich shorts is, prior to the office party segment, we had a very short segment involving a family in a house, and they're getting ready to go on some sort of road trip to the grandmother's house or whatever. We have the man, we have the wife, and we have the little child. So So the daughter, the wife, and the man. Right? Let's try to. There you go. Now you can tell the difference. Now you can tell them apart. They get into a vehicle. So let's make a vehicle. I know this is terrible. I know they wouldn't be sitting in this way in the vehicle, right? But so they're on the road now. They're on the road going, and then they see a portal right here. All right, he's distracted. The father's distracted, talking to the child. He's got his face turned to the back seat, and the wife says, "Hey, look out!" And she just woke up from a nap, and then she's pointing ahead. Hey, look out! There's a portal, and it's the bright light. And then we skip to this part. So now, in the second half of this, the man wakes up. The man has woken up in a hospital bed. He is in a hospital room. There's a nurse here coming into the door saying, "Oh, goodness, good thing you're awake." And the man's immediate thing is, he says, "Where is his wife and child?" And she says, "They're fine. You're the only one that got hurt. They're coming soon, but you need to stay in bed while we take a look at you." And then the doctor comes in. The doctor man is here, and he says, "Your eye looks pretty banged up. We're gonna have to get you a new eye," basically, because he can't see out of one of his eyes. He says he can't see. And so they try to give him a surgery thing, and then the screen flashes again, and then we come back, and then I gotta draw another one. I pulled this way to try to pull it, whatever. Yeah, come on. All right, we're gonna have to make a new scene here. So now he's alone in the bed, right? He wakes up alone in the bed. He's got patches over his eyes, whatever, and he's talking with the nurse lady, right? He's looking in front of the mirror. He sees his eyes all freaky. And then the nurse lady says, "You got to get used to that," right? And he's got patches over his eye patch or whatever. He pulls it back to see that his eye's still there, and he's freaking out about that. So in walks the doctor man, and he says, "Well, you've been given a gift. You walked through the portal and you came back. Nobody's ever done that before." So he's trying to figure that out, right? And then it's from this moment on that starts to become very difficult to explain, but it's also very difficult to understand at the same time. So please bear with me. If you've been confused up to this point, you're probably going to be even more confused after this. No, I'll leave this over here. So the doctor man, they have a fight, and then the nurse lady, she comes back into the room, and she's got a gun. She kills the doctor man, and she explains to the man that his wife and child went through the portal, but they didn't come back. He went through the portal, and he did come back. So if he wants to see his wife and child again, he's got to figure out how this portal thing works, right? So they go down through the hospital wing, through a hallway with a very unassuming hallway. It's very cheap set. And they're in another enclosed room with the portal in the middle here with some doodad machineries and a lot of wires hooked up to it. And there are a lot of computer screens. They're trying to figure out what this portal is, right? So they come in through the door, right? So the man is standing right here, and the woman's standing by the machinery. And the woman says that the portal promises you things in order to get you to go into it. And the man says, "Well, what did it offer the doctor man?" And she says it offered the doctor man answers. So he's a scientist man. He wants answers to questions about what this is and what the new realities are. And it promises answers to him if he did the portal's bidding. And then he asks, "What did it offer you?" And she says, "Oh, my wife," she says. So she says that her significant other, the wife, I'm guessing that she died through a car crash or something or whatever, but I don't think she went through the portal, but I think she died. And right, and the portal is promising her that if she does its bidding, she will get her partner back. And he's going like, okay. So he goes up to the portal, and he tries to touch it to go through the portal, basically. And then the portal shrieks or something. It emits some sort of frequency shriek, a sound wave or whatever, and everybody's freaking out. So her head basically explodes. I don't question it. I couldn't answer it for you anyways. So, but then he gets covered in the explosion of the head explosion, and he goes through the portal, and and he ends up back in the highway. He's back at the highway, and the wife and child are nowhere around. Neither is the car. So he walks down the highway to the town. It's abandoned. There's nobody there in the town. And then he tries to open one of the convenience stores, and he winds up back in the frickin' sure, this one. He winds up back in the portal hospital room, right? And then he opens another door, and he's in another friggin' room. He's in like some sort of jail cell or something. And then he hears a voice in his head, right? And the voice, he goes into a police interrogation room, so as to say. There's a desk here, there's a chair. I know if you're feeling confused, I'm trying my best. Okay, so there's a mirror here. This is a mirror, so we're gonna say mirror. Right, so we're gonna have desk here, and we got this here, there, like that. Okay, and can you see that? Okay, so the man sits down in this table, in this chair, and through the mirror he sees the other man sit down in this chair, and the man in the mirror talks like an AI, like a robot, and this is where my theory is that the portals are all artificial intelligence entities. This is something from outer space that has come to this planet to try to understand humans and the human enigma and the way people think and the way they're attached to the world and things and the peoples and all that stuff, and it's learning. But you could tell when it's talking to the man that there's something robotic about the acting and about the way it speaks. And so it promises the man that he will get to see his wife and child again in a simulated happy household. And the man says, well, that's just going to be a bullshit. It's a simulation, isn't it? And the man says, well, does it really matter? And so he says, we use your eyes to see through your world, to understand how you exist. And in return, we give you what you want. Giving. And so the man says, okay. And he's about to rip out his one remaining eye, and and then he rips out both of his eyes. And then suddenly he is back in the hospital room. He's back in the hospital room. There's his bed here. There's the door. And then the wife and child come in, right? And the nurse lady whose head exploded, she's alive again, right? So the wife is here. There's the nurse lady. And then there's the smaller child. So then the man, he's right here. And you can see that both of his eyes are gone. He turns around and he hugs his wife and his child. And the nurse lady's all happy about it too. And you're left with so many questions. And then we have an epilogue scene. I mentioned the fly. The epilogue scene. Let me just rip one more paper out here. In the epilogue scene, we have an office, right? We have this little office, little area, and we got some desks here. It's empty. It's completely empty in this half here. And let's just say, I'm just going to do two halves here, the line here. And then out here, we have a portal, and we have a portal here, right? And there's some cables and wires hooked up from these desks, and there's a man here talking into a radio, right? And over here, we're outside. There's some grass here. There's some grass. There's a tree here, like, whatever. So there's your tree. And then there's the lady here. She's standing up here by the portal. And she says that they have configured a way to use these portals as teleportation methods. Oh, this is the fly method, right? So she goes through the portal, and she appears out by the man. She appears where he is. And, she says that they now both need to go through the portal. immediately. And he goes like, well, let me run some tests. And he runs some tests. And then he goes to the portal and he shows back up on this side, right? And then he waits a few moments and then she shows back up, but there's something wrong with her now. And then she explains that this was only the beginning, that this is all bleh, and then the worst is coming. And then the film ends, right? And it's a little bit of a cop-out ending, but it's very difficult to explain all of this. You know, as you can see, I've got a lot of this crap here, and if people gave this film a low rating, low score, it's probably because of this. It's probably because of how annoying it is to go through all of this to try to understand the film, or at least try to explain the film to somebody else, like what I'm trying to do. All I can tell you, if you want to just skip to this portion and skip all the other stuff and skip to the 2-minute review, all I can tell you is that Portals is a very interesting film, that if you go into it with a certain frame of mind to be curious, to look at what you're seeing and think about it. Think about it for yourself. Don't expect the film to answer any questions that you may have as you're watching it. If you go into the film with that frame of mind, you will end up being, with your inquisitiveness, you will end up coming out of this film analyzing it. You're interested in analyzing it, analyzing the portals, analyzing what they are, trying to make your own conclusions and theories about what's going on. And at least for me, that was part of the enjoyment of the film, was the thinking about it part. Portals is not a movie that you're wanting to go in with a tub of popcorn, expect to turn your brain off, and expect to know anything that's going on. This is not one of those movies. Do not ever go into this film with the expectation that that's what you're gonna get, because you're not gonna get that. Go into this movie with the intention to take mental notes. Go into this movie with the intention of the inquiring mind to look. Don't immediately scoff and turn things off. Keep your open mind open. Look, consume, theorize, wonder. That is Portals to me.